Hello everyone. It's been a while since Uncle 3 returned because I've been quite busy. Today, Uncle 3 is back to tell true ghost stories. And today's story is the first one of the day. A story from a man from Vietnam. He sent his story to our channel. Since he's Vietnamese, Uncle 3 will call him Uncle Roger for convenience. This is a story that Uncle Roger's mother experienced, and since his mother is the main character, Uncle 3 will temporarily call her Autumn. This story happened quite a long time ago, and it's very terrifying. It happened in 1978, which is almost 50 years ago. At that time, Autumn had only given birth to Uncle Roger's younger brother 3 days earlier. Then he said that Uncle Roger was born in 1962. He was born in Cambodia. By 1963, just after Uncle Roger's first birthday, his parents had escaped back to Vietnam. Then, in July 1975, Uncle Roger's parents returned to Chau Doc province in southern Vietnam, firstly to visit his maternal grandparents and family, and secondly to bring Uncle Roger back to Bien Hoa to live with his parents. When we went to Chau Doc, my parents stayed for a few days. At that time, Roger was already 14 years old. He knows and remembers it to this day. He said that his maternal grandparents were Buddhists and very devout. They believed in Buddhism very much. At his grandparents' house, they had 2 statues. One was Buddha Shakyamuni, and the other was Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Almost every day, Roger's maternal grandparents would regularly bow to the Buddha. But Autumn was someone who didn't believe in spirituality, didn't believe in gods, Buddhas, or ghosts. So when she saw her grandparents constantly bowing to the Buddha, she told her grandmother, "Mom, stop it! Don't worship anything anymore. What's the point of worshiping gods, spirits, or ghosts in this world? It's a waste of time." "Oh my God, why go to all that trouble, Mom?" When she heard Autumn says that Roger's grandmother was very angry. So Grandma scolded Autumn and said, You're being blasphemous. Oh my God, that's enough. Watch out, you'll encounter ghosts and demons. Watch out, you hear me?" When Grandma said that, Autumn just laughed because she didn't believe it. So, when Grandma scolded her, Autumn just ignored it and laughed. At that time, Autumn took Roger back to Dong Nai province. After settling down, Roger's parents opened a flag printing factory. Working there was completely normal, nothing unusual. Then, in 1978, Autumn became pregnant, and later she gave birth to Roger's younger sibling. This story happened when Autumn went to give birth at a maternity hospital in what is now Bien Hoa. When she came here to give birth, everything went smoothly, and Uncle Roger's younger brother was born normally and without any problems. But Autumn had to stay in the hospital for a few days to recover. Then, on the 3rd day, that night, around midnight, Autumn was in her room, which had 3 other pregnant women besides her. That night, around midnight, Autumn started having stomach pains. She was sleeping, but the pain was unbearable, so she had to go. She took a newspaper. She went down to the hospital restroom. From Autumn's room to the restroom, she had to walk down a long corridor. There were 4 toilets in there. These 4 toilets were connected. When Autumn went in, she saw that the last toilet stall was occupied. But room number 1 and room number 2 were so dirty they looked disgusting. So Autumn decided to choose room number 3 to use the restroom. When Autumn went in and sat down to use the restroom, about 10 minutes later, she heard something coming from the next room. It sounded like someone had finished using the toilet. They were sitting there tearing up toilet paper. Because back then, there wasn't toilet paper like there is now. People usually used a newspaper and crumpled it up to wipe. Autumn clearly heard the sound of tearing paper. She thought, it must be someone in the next room who's finished using the toilet. This is the maternity ward, so it must be a woman who just gave birth. Autumn thought, I'm finished now too. Let me go out and use the toilet with that person. I'll go back to my room. Then Autumn also tore up toilet paper to wipe. After everything was done, she didn't hear anything from the next room anymore. There was no sound at all, no movement, no door opening, even though she had already torn the toilet paper. Autumn thought, why? I've already wiped, I've already torn up the toilet paper, but why haven't I seen her come out yet? Autumn wondered to herself, thinking, maybe this person has a stomachache or diarrhea and is staying longer. So Autumn deliberately waited for her to come out to see what was wrong. She waited a little longer and then heard the sound of tearing toilet paper again. At this point, Autumn spoke up. "Sister, are you okay?" It was because Autumn knew that this was the maternity ward, so it was definitely a woman who had just given birth. So Autumn asked, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay?" But the woman didn't answer. She remained completely silent. So Autumn wondered, why is that so strange? Meanwhile, she kept hearing the sound of tearing paper. At that moment, Autumn stood still because she thought, oh no, could she be sick? I'll stand here and check. Then she went silent again. Autumn asked, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay? Are you hurt? Are you in pain anywhere?" But the woman remained completely silent. This time, the sound of tearing papers stopped. Autumn then became scared, thinking, oh my God, could she have fallen and fainted? Then she decided that it was because the toilet door had a gap at the bottom. So, Uncle Roger's mother planned for Autumn to bend down, to look over there to see if anyone had fainted or not, so she could call for help. But as Autumn bent down, before she could even see anything, she was attacked by a pair of hands. On the one hand, grabbed Uncle Roger's mother's head, gripping it very tightly, while the other hand covered Autumn's nose and mouth. At that moment, she was terrified. Why is this happening? I'm in the bathroom. Then, Autumn smelled a foul, pungent smell of blood. She tried to see who was attacking her, and she saw that it was just two arms. There was absolutely no human body. One arm was on top of her head. It was grabbing Autumn's head, covered in blood. Oh my God, she was terrified. Autumn was so scared and terrified that she ran out of the room. The scary thing was that as Autumn ran, that arm was still tightly gripping her nose and mouth. The other arm was still holding onto her head. At that moment, Autumn was so scared and in so much pain that she couldn't breathe. She was so scared that she ran out of the bathroom. Because she couldn't breathe, Autumn kept trying to pull it off. While running and pulling, after a while, she managed the arm that was covering her nose off. Autumn threw it aside. In the ghost stories I usually tell you, the arm disappears at this point, right? But no. Autumn's other arm was still firmly attached to her head. There was still an arm on her head. She was running and trying to pull it out, but no matter how hard she pulled, it wouldn't come off. So Autumn ran to the room of the nurse/doctor on duty. They were asleep and the door was closed, but Autumn stood outside shouting and banging on the door. "Doctor, doctor, help me, help me, help me!" At that time, there was only one nurse in the room. She heard her. She came out, opened the door, and asked, "What's wrong?" The next terrifying thing was, you'd think the nurse hadn't seen the arm, but she hadn't. When she opened the door, she looked and saw that Autumn had an arm hanging above her head. The nurse screamed and fainted on the spot. Autumn was confused and scared, not knowing what to do. So she looked into the nurse's room and saw a pair of scissors. She ran in, grabbed the scissors, and repeatedly stabbed the hand that was gripping her head. Oh my God. No matter how hard she stabbed, it wouldn't let go. There was a huge commotion. People in the ward were awake. Autumn, not knowing what to do, stabbed her hand while running back to her room. When Autumn ran into her room, the three expectant mothers who were sleeping heard the commotion and woke up. When they saw Autumn running into the room, her hand was still gripping her head. While she was stabbing the scissors repeatedly into that arm, the three women screamed and then fainted. Roger's mother said, "At that moment, I didn't know what to do because I was stabbing the scissors, but it wouldn't let go. It wouldn't let go, and blood was dripping down. Of course, it was the blood of that devilish arm, and Autumn's face was covered in blood. That's why the three pregnant women fainted from fear. So Autumn didn't know what to do. Finally, Roger's mother chose a way. Autumn would use the scissors to cut off her hair. And when she cut it, the devilish arm fell off. And when it fell with a thud to the ground. It sounded exactly like a human arm, and then people started running around in a panic. In the midst of the chaos, the arm crawled away. A moment later, it was gone. And Autumn's hair was cut. She cut it herself, so it was all messy. That night was truly terrifying. The next morning, all 3 of those pregnant women told the doctor they wanted to be discharged immediately. They didn't dare stay. And of course, Autumn did the same. And when Autumn was discharged from the hospital, she went to the market near where she lived to buy an altar and a picture of Buddha, specifically a picture of Shakyamuni Buddha. From then on, Roger's mother believed in ghosts, in spiritual matters, and also in Buddhism. Autumn went to the temple and was very devout. That's the story that Roger's mother experienced in Bien Hoa Hospital in Dong Nai Province.